this couple. I just love them. But they're gonna get a divorce. They won't get a divorce before
Mhm.
they came in to see me. So I know
So
that
are
they're
they
gonna love.
still there?
They still there. I think they can go through all of the motions, but yes, it's a thing. Okay.
That's actually a good
So
topic.
we are live streaming. That is a good topic. Oh, okay. All right. Hold on. Let me hit record. Okay. So I had two topics for us to talk about today. One is helping people overcome sexual shame and guilt. And then the other one is couples who come to therapy who have already really decided to go to divorce, to get a divorce. So which one do y'all think is more juicy? Exciting. Which one do you want to talk about today?
The divorce one. Yeah,
All right,
that's where
divorce
I'm
it is. Okay.
at.
All right. So I'll go ahead and say most couples do not come to therapy until it's too late. We know that. We got the research behind it with that. And so when that's the case, and I'm gonna throw it to you first, Sharon. Oh, I didn't say good morning to everybody. Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good
We
morning. Good
just jumped. We
morning.
got so excited. We jumped right in. So Jessica Addison, how you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
All right, good. And Sharon, how are you today?
Good, good, good. No complaints.
Okay. And so Jo is out today. She's on her spring break. And so it's just us three ladies. So I feel like, oh, we can talk. Not that we can't talk when she's here, but I feel like, oh, the teacher's away. So, okay. So Sharon, what would you say to that couple where they literally deciding, do we call it a divorce attorney or do we call the therapist? And then they decide to call the therapist.
I think that in all situations, that's safe, meaning free of domestic violence and
Mm,
serious things like that. Go to the therapist first. Because
mm-hmm.
even if you still decide to call a divorce attorney, maybe we can teach you and you can learn some tools to go through that process without a lot of fighting and anger. So we can both help you reach a conclusion that you're going to be well, not happy,
Mm-hmm.
but reach a place where you're like, okay, I'm ready to let go.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just say do it. So then maybe it would deter from a very messy divorce.
Oh, very good point. All right.
Yeah.
Jessica Addison, what would you say to that couple who's deciding, do I call the attorney? Do I call the therapist?
The same thing that Sharian said, because you need those tools
Mm-hmm.
to have some type of clean and clear mediation. Because
Yeah.
sometimes some states want you to have that mediation before you get divorced anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you still need to know how to communicate because there might be things like children or properties or businesses involved where you need to know how am I still going to be in this business relationship? And if so,
Mm-hmm.
what tools do I need to still have that can separate the personal from the business? So it's
Yeah.
not all about the relationship and the romanticized version of it. It's the communication and the partnership that needs to be settled and know how to be worked through.
That is so good. And I think what's coming up for me is because I've had couples and it's just like, oh, okay. Y'all are really contemplating divorce. So oftentimes when I'm feeling that in the first session, I'll ask them on a scale of 1 to 10. What 10 is you already called the divorce attorney yesterday. That's 10. And 1 being the day you got married, where are you on the spectrum? And so often clients will say 6, 7, 8 with that. And so we kind of know this is what we're working against from the beginning. And so it's always nice when clients are truthful with that. But what I've discovered is when we get in there and start doing the work, even if we don't completely repair the marriage, we still will help the clients gain clarity about their partner and their partner's motives. Like there's a story that couples will start to develop about their partner. They know they only do that because they blah blah blah. They intentionally doing that. They know that it gets on my nerves and they keep doing it every time. And so and they kind of almost start to dehumanize them, depersonalize them. And so that's where I've seen therapy do the most good to when the therapist can be like, okay, but do you really come on? They don't like they just woke up and was like, I hate you and I'm gonna make your day terrible on purpose. What if that what if we sometimes just introducing the concept of the story in my head is, and so that's the concept I try to help a lot of my couples start to identify what's the story in my head. Because if I can change the story in my head, or just even if before we change it, create enough space to ask questions, could there be another story? Could there be another reason that the door slammed, as opposed to they were trying to wake me up out of a deep sleep on purpose? They slammed the door on purpose. Just could there be another story? And like I know I've slammed the door on accident before. Either I was trying to do too much, probably, and couldn't get the right thing. And so just introducing that concept will help couples just come out as friends on the other end. Even if we don't repair the marriage, but there are also times when we repair the marriage. Because sometimes couples therapy, and I have a couple of couples who have said this, the conversations inside this room are different. We couldn't have had this conversation at home. Like we because I do have a couple of clients, and I've said to them, I don't know why you come to therapy, because y'all having great conversations, and they say, yeah, but we couldn't do this at home. Like it just doesn't work at home. So yeah, okay. What are y'all thinking? What's coming up for you guys?
A lot of things that you said really resonated, because a lot of times when you're in the process of getting that divorce, you already went through
Mm-hmm.
therapy, you already called the lawyer, you're not thinking about the human, you're thinking about this thing I just got to get done. Let me just
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and get this done so it'll be out my life. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times if you guys don't become friends or don't become anything else other than two strangers, you still need that therapy so you don't drag any baggage of emotions from this relationship to your next relationship, or you don't take on any anger or any other deep-seated resentment even when this person is gone. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that can still stay that you need therapy to work on
Mm-hmm.
in your social relationships as well.
All right, Sharon, what's coming up for you?
I just think about it in a way that, especially in a way that you have children, while we may not be able to save the marriage, maybe we're able to save the relationship. And I mean that,
Oh, that's a
yeah,
good
right.
one. Yeah.
And so, how do you still be in this relationship when you have
Right.
kids, meaning like co parenting? How do you start setting the rules and creating
Yeah.
what life looks like after divorce? So sometimes I
Yeah.
had couples that come see me who like, yes, we're getting a divorce. Somebody move out the whole house. They still come to therapy. Then they say, you know what? It's been 6 months of your time, and now my spouse is back in the house. So it's all about teaching them how to even view things like separation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is a separation needed in order to get you over the hump? Like everything is just not
Mm-hmm.
always so horrible. So,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes couples will come saying, yes, 100% we're going to get a divorce. And they can be on that page for 6 or 7 months into therapy. And
Yeah.
through the process, they start saying, well, now I'm starting to understand them better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I've been gone, or even though I've
Yeah.
been sleeping on my brother's couch,
Yeah.
I think that we can move back in and try this one step at a time. And
Yeah.
sometimes it goes into we'll just start spending the weekends together.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it don't. But the thing is, therapy is that'll just help you make the decision
Yeah.
in a way that's going to be helpful to both people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very good. I mean, I know I've had a couple of clients and sessions over the years where like I've had to flat out say, I don't know how this is gonna end. With all of the pieces that y'all gave me, I have no idea. But my hope is at the end of this, you will know exactly why you're making your decision, and you're making it from a more objective place as opposed to out of hurt, pain, and protection. And I think that's what therapy does a good job at, is just helping you look at your thoughts, feelings, and emotions and check them. Like if you can just learn to check yourself, why am I so upset about this? Why am I so angry about this? Is this my issue or was this their issue? Was I really at fault or were they having a bad day? Oh shoot, that was the day that so and so happened 10 years ago and oh, I get it. And so when you can just have another person, um I know this lady who said I never go into my own mind by myself because it's treacherous up there. And so when you have another person say, let's think about that. Is there another possibility? You become open to more possibilities.
Do you think
So,
also, Natalie, or like even if you have a court order of divorce or you have visitations, you have that stuff in black and white, when they have those pick up and drop offs, or when they have to see each other for that short period of time, and they still have those emotions that they still figure out, okay, this person's out the house, they're out my life legally, but I'm still having those emotions like they're still there. That's where therapy steps in because you still can't let go of a certain type of emotion or behavior when you're in contact with this person.
hmm I would love for therapy to be able to help them. And I think it does. And I wanted to step in before that because, and this is just a therapy thing we want for people in general. Okay. When you're over something, whether it's a divorce, a trauma, anything, is in when now, even if you're not happy about it, you can have some semblance of thankfulness and gratefulness for some aspect of it. That you see it almost like a gift in dirty wrapping paper. Like, I don't like the way that happened, or I don't like that, but because of it, I now blah, blah, blah. I now can do that, that. I now know this about myself for something. And so when you've gotten to that place, that's healed. That's healing. When you can tell the story and then bring out the positives from it, which might be, now I know I'm a survivor. That's what I know. That's what I got from that. It was horrible, it was terrible, but now I know I'm a survivor. Now I know I can fall down and get back up. Now I know blah 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 blah. And so one of the things I think we in therapy want to help people do is to be able to own their own story and then walk in a better life because of it. Your history is your history. This is life. We can't keep you from falling down. We can't keep you from getting hurt. We can't keep you from getting um from bad things happening. And I think that's one of the hard things in life is that bad things happen to good people with that because it doesn't seem fair. But it's life, and nobody said that life was gonna be fair. Some of us are born with less than ideal. A lot of us are born with less than ideal. A lot of us have some really hard things to go through in life. And so when you can get to it though and say, okay, everything is gonna make me stronger. I can figure it out. I can have a sense of gratitude because somebody always has it worse than you has with that. Then that's the point of healing. And that's what I hope therapy can get you to
I
with
have a
that.
lot of clients as well. They come in a certain relationship status, and then when they come back to see me, they're done. And then when they come back, they say, "Oh, I got something to tell you," and they didn't got back with the person. I'm like,
Yeah.
take a deep breath, like I'm that mom who's going to be disappointed. This is your safe space. Whatever you decide to do, as long
Yeah.
as you own up to it, like you said, that journey of what are we
Mhm.
going to learn in this transition? What are we learning in that? That's fine. I'm here to walk with
Mhm.
you through everything. So never feel ashamed when you come to therapy that, well, I
Yeah.
know I told her this last week, but I got to break
Mhm.
it to her. I'm back with so and so again.
Yeah.
That's your business. Go
And,
ahead.
and I think that I think people actually don't think about that. And even though we are specifically Sherry and halfway me because I'm an MFT and an LPC, but the I think sometimes the thought is going to a marriage and family therapy has to mean that the marriage is going to work or they're going to make the marriage work at all costs. And that's not it. If it's at the cost of a person, no, no. Like we're not trying to make it work at all costs when it's going to hurt somebody or it's damaging or when it's detrimental. Our hope is that we could keep the marriage together. Like we have a whole master's degree. Right? We tried to do that. We're practicing a craft, but we never want to do that at the detriment of a person with that. And so please know that, because I know throughout the years I've had a couple of clients who were concerned and that like, oh, this therapist is going to make me stay married to the person. A, we can't make you do nothing. And B, I think a good therapist is going to open that up for you to speak, to make sure you have a voice, to make sure you're saying what you need to say. And definitely, some people have been drugged into therapy by their partners for the therapist to fix them. We're not doing that. And I tell my client, I try to say this, and I don't know if I say it to all my clients, but I honest to God believe people are equally dysfunctional or equally functional with that. And so even though one person is pointing to the other person, it's all them, 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 them. As a therapist, I know, no, it takes two to tango. So they doing some things and you were doing some things. And your power is to work on what you're doing with that. If you can understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then do it differently, then they'll change. A marriage, a family, any is a system that's together. And so if one person starts changing, then the other person will start changing as well in reaction. And that's what I want more people to know, how much power and efficacy you have over your own self in the relationship with that. Okay, Sharon, what you thinking?
Okay, so I want to address this because I also believe, just like you said, it takes two to dance,
You take two.
but some people suffer with that when it's infidelity.
Yeah, that's true.
And some people suffer with believing that when it's very like, really, it's my fault too. Especially if you deal with a person that got
Ooh.
anxiety, if you deal with a person that may have a diagnosis, whether it's mild,
Mm-hmm.
then they're like, it can't be my fault because they're cheating, or it can't be my fault because they're
Mm-hmm.
depressed or they're anxious or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. And so then you have to figure out an approach to figure
Mm-hmm.
out how the infidelity started in the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you decide to stay?
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's still taking two, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that you can do anything to make a person cheat, but it's just the
Correct.
simple fact that what was your part in this dance, and
Yeah.
staying can be a part that you have in the dance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying, if anybody hearing this, I'm not saying pack up your bags and go. What I'm saying is
Right.
get you a therapist. So so we
Right.
can
Yeah, and I'll acknowledge. I think there definitely have been some people who they were doing everything right and their partner still cheated. So definitely with that. I will say I feel like when I say that, I also got to say the other part is I also know some people who they had um exited the marriage in some type of way and then realized they really kind of set their partner up to cheat with that. Um, and life is complicated, so it may not have happened on purpose. So it may have been taking care of a sick child and the marriage got neglected, taking care of an elderly parent and the marriage got neglected, being at church all the time and the marriage got neglected. Um, we often have times when people um let me say this and say it with compassion. We've had several calls throughout the years where a couple, whereas in this particular case that I'm thinking of, where the couple's like, we're getting a divorce, and the guy's like, I'm out, and he's saying something to the extent of, I love you, I love the life that we've built together, but I'm not willing to live in a sexless marriage. And the woman had no idea that it was that painful for him with that, and is taken aback with that. And I'm not talking like a year of no sex or 2 years or 3 years. Usually when we get these calls and he's already kind of leaving, it has been ongoing for more than 5 years, 10 years, 13 years with that. And so um I just, if anybody's hearing this, I want you to pay attention and make sure you're checking in with your partner on, is this marriage still working for you? Is it feeling good? What do we need to be working on? What do you need
Mm.
more of? This is what I need more of. And please, person who doesn't like to talk or speak up, or I don't need much, make sure you're verbalizing, because that's not fair either for you just to walk up after 10 years and be like, hey, this ain't working for me. I'm out. Okay, you couldn't tell me that year two and we could have tried to fix it. Year one, year
Yeah.
three, year four. Like I thought it's been going on so long. And so please, I think and people say, well, I don't want to hurt the relationship. But you are hurting the relationship when you're not speaking up for yourself, because now essentially you paint yourself into a box and you can't get out. That's your part in creating this dynamic. And so it takes two in every single way. It takes in every single way with that. So both people got to be saying what their needs are. Both people got to be willing to work. Both people got to be listen to have the ability to listen to the other person, and to speak up for themselves. So okay, Jessica Addison.
I was going to say, like you were talking about, if you have to take care of a sick parent or a
Yeah.
different component that might overthrow the relationship, there's different parts of a system. And if you
Mm.
focus on one, others can feel neglected. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying you have to do something every single day, but schedule out some time or have a conversation of what can we do to tend to this part of our
Mhm.
relationship, because it's going to be a domino effect. And then you're going to wonder, why did we get here?
Mhm.
And also, like what Sharon was saying, when it comes to infidelity, I think when you try and do all you can, which includes therapy, and you still
Yeah.
don't know what's going on, you can't control anyone, but you
Yeah.
can control how long you decide to stay there after you've done
Yeah.
all that you can do and have all the resources. And I
Yeah.
know for my couples, one thing when they trying to understand we have this foundation, we love each other, but they don't understand why we're having issues in different areas. I have them
Mhm.
write a mission statement for their relationship.
Yeah.
And they
That's a
speak
good.
to each other. If we stay with these foundations and maybe check in every few months, what we need to change, what new things are evolving with ourselves individually or in our relationship or in our lives.
Yeah.
Just so as long as we stick to this mission statement, we know that we're still on the same page, because we know
Mhm.
life stressors happen every day, even by the minute.
Yeah. That's true. And Sharon, I'll come back to you in a minute. I want to say, because I want to say this, because I know that woman and or man who is stuck doing something else and is neglecting the marriage, like, but I can't be two places at one and blah 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 blah. You don't have to. This is what I've noticed over the years is people will work with you if they know you're in it. And so you may not be able to leave the dying person's bedside to go have a romantic night with your partner. You may not be able to do that. Most people understand that though. You're gonna get one or two who don't, but most people understand that though. So if you at least make a phone call, hey, I'm at the hospital, but I haven't forgotten about you. Like as soon as this can get clear up, it's gonna be me and you. If there's just some type of acknowledgement and the person doesn't feel completely forgotten with that, because we're human beings and we all want to be wonderful, like people who always understand and everything, but our feelings get hurt. Our feelings get hurt, especially if there have been any other things in the relationship that maybe happened or hadn't gotten repaired before we go into a really hard time. And so if you can just reach out, hey, I miss you. Hey, we're going to get back to this. Hey, whatever, you know, that will go a long, long way. It's when people don't say anything. Because when nothing is said, then we're left in our own heads with our own story and we ain't got nothing. Well, they never made me a priority. They never cared about me anyway. And this is just their excuse to stay away from the house or stay away from me or blah, 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 blah. So, okay. All right, Sharon, you got the last 4 minutes. Take us on home.
Okay. So as both of you were talking, I was just thinking about something that I often ask a lot of my clients that's coming in for infidelity. And I know y'all gonna be like, duh, yeah, that's the obvious. But I always just ask them to think about it. Are you experiencing the hurt and pain because you agreed to be in a monogamous relationship? So it's
Ooh,
almost like being able
yes.
to understand what the source of your hurt and pain is. Is
Mm-hmm.
this based off the agreement of monogamy? And then some would be like, I don't really give a dang that this happened. But what I do care about is that they lied about it.
Yeah.
I do
Yes.
care that they're still lying about it
Yeah.
because ain't nobody perfect. So
Right.
then it starts a process of them really even being able to access
Yeah.
what about this affair is upsetting you.
Right.
So I have both men and women that seem to be more flexible with the idea that, okay, they stepped out because I understand what our marriage was like during this time. I understand what I might have been going through. I might understand it. But the problem now becomes you won't admit it. And sometimes it's the continuation of the
Right.
relationship that's causing more problems than the
That is
actual
true. That's true.
action. And
That's
so
true.
if I can understand how to trust you, then we can move forward. But the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you continue to deny or continue to just blame me
Mm-hmm.
causes me the anxiety of not being, because
Yeah.
you start their process to heal. You start
Right.
their process to
Yeah.
forgiveness
Mm-hmm.
because of the lack of honesty or the lack to be transparent and really
Yeah.
be communicating about this without saying this is all my fault because you chose to step outside the marriage. So especially the monogamy question, they say you're not sharing. Now that you asked that, I probably wouldn't mind if my husband went on a little field trip about twice a year. I just need to know. He just need to be honest because I know I
Yeah.
can't give him. Sometimes it's the type of kink,
Mhm.
That's a very real one.
right?
Very
Or the
real one.
type of sex that he just needs. And I understand that
Mm-hmm.
he or she really needs this type of kink. And
Yeah.
this is a type of kink
Mhm.
that I'm not giving. I ain't no way I'm gonna let you do this. So if you need 2 or 3 field trips out the year, that's fine. But it needs to end there. So they say the problem is I don't need them communicating with this person outside these field trips.
So basically, I'm giving you permission to do something physical, but not to emotionally attach with that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Right.
that mono poly relationship, which is very common in the poly world, that one person is monogamous, the other one's poly because they have a kink or desire that they're not with. But if you want to go ahead and do that, go ahead. Just let me be in the loop of everything. Because
Yeah.
that's a real thing.
Yeah, it is. All right, ladies.
People are
I have a
definitely
10
becoming more
o'clock.
open and flexible. I'm
Yeah,
sorry now.
Mhm.
Sherry, and you probably got a 10 o'clock because you already at the office with that. So, all right. Um, I think that's it for today. I'm gonna let that be our last thoughts. I think we said some hard things today. And so feel free to email us. Feel free to come in for a session and say, I really didn't like that. And this is why. With that, we're open to hearing all about it. And if y'all have any questions for us, feel free to email us at info@atlcouncil.com, info@atlcouncil.com, and Joe will get us the information. All right, ladies, y'all have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye bye.